Now, this story has a lot of repercussions. You want to jump into it? You was kind of explaining it to me.
Well, here we go. Again, the Republican led House passed the Save America Act, and it was a close vote.
Yeah.
It was a 218 to 213. So it's like very,
Did
very
any
close.
Democrats vote on this? Do you know?
Yes, there was a Democrat that voted for. I think there was one
Okay.
that
Now,
voted for the bill, and then, but
why
almost
is it so controversial though?
almost
Like, what's going on?
unanimously, the Democrats voted against it, and here's why. Basically, this bill is going to require that when you are voting federally,
Okay.
that you also provide additional
Is
documentation.
it only federal vote? Only federal?
Yes, it says, here we go. It says the legislation will require documentation, proof of citizenship,
Mm-hmm.
such as passport or a birth certificate to register to vote in federal elections. It also mandates photo ID for in person voting and adds district ID requirements for mail in ballots. So I guess they're starting here, and going to see
Yeah.
where it goes. But this is very impactful because there there's a whole class of people who
Yes.
don't have passports.
Mm-hmm.
And that same class of people who don't have passports can't find a birth certificate.
Yeah.
So,
It's a lot of black people that don't have birth certificates, and I'm sure it's a lot of Hispanics or just minorities in general don't have a bunch of birth certificates. I know my granddad, my grandmother, they didn't really know what they knew their birthday, and probably they knew their birthday because somebody just told them, but they don't have no verification like that is their birthday,
I was going to say,
right? So my uncle was born, not my uncle, my granddad was like born in like 1944 or 54 or something like that. And then my grandma used to always argue with him and be like, "No, it was 53." So like they'd be like going back and forth,
and
like they don't
when
really
he was
know.
born.
Yeah, they don't really know how old he is.
See, so here's the thing. There are people who are your granddad's age who are still alive.
Yes.
My grandfather passed when he was 71. No, I'm sorry, 73. Now my grandmom is alive and
Mm-hmm.
she's 78. She'll be 79, I believe, this March.
Mm-hmm.
And I went to get her passport. She was born in Savannah, Georgia. I went to get her passport. I just happened to live in Georgia.
Right.
And then we were going on a cruise. And so they need you to have a passport. She didn't have a passport, so I went to get her birth certificate. I'm
Right.
sorry, I went to get her birth certificate. So I went to get her birth certificate, and they had me sitting there for 3 hours.
Yep.
I was sitting there for 3 hours getting my grandmother. Mind you, she had called ahead about a week or 2 weeks before
And
to let them
you
know.
can have an appointment.
Yes.
You can have all that.
She verified her identification on the phone. She let them know her granddaughter was coming in. That's why I thought it was going to be wham bam.
But
thank
now
you, ma'am.
you're in a privileged situation though, because for one, you may have had a job that had the flexibility to allow you to sit in there 3-4 hours.
Oh my gosh.
Or
yes.
you had the money to where you didn't need those 3-4 hours to actually go work
Right,
and
where I could take it.
survive.
Right. I don't know where I was in life at that point.
You
yes.
see what I mean? But like that's a privilege to even be able to go in and do that. And
I ain't got no kids, so
that's what I'm saying. You ain't got kids. It's a lot of stuff that people struggle with, and it's like I said, if this would have impacted me, I probably just wouldn't vote. So if I would have had to do all of this and I probably wouldn't vote.
It's a process.
Which is more than likely their goal.
It's
The
voter suppression.
The goal
This
of
is the Voter Suppression Act.
The goal of this, I can tell, is not to get more registered voters.
Right.
It's not. It's to get, and you know what? A lot of people, I seen the argument about this. I don't know. I would love to the Supreme Court to look at this.
Okay.
But a lot of people were saying, it's in the Constitution that you can't pay for votes.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
You can't make people pay
sense.
for votes.
That makes sense.
Okay, you can't make people pay for votes, but if
your
I make
passport
it harder,
costs.
if I make it harder for you to vote and give these strict regulations and requirements, now you have to go put up some form of money to vote. That's why people are trying to lean towards this may being unconstitutional. So I'm sure somebody gonna sue the minute
you're not wrong, because when I did have to get my grandmother's I keep saying passport, birth certificate.
Yeah.
I think it cost about $35
Yeah.
just because, and then and then it cost me my day. And
That's the real expense. That's what I'm saying. Like a day is like
and then remember it was prepped a week or two before.
so
So
that time
so it cost me the time that we had to prep, the time I had to sit there,
commute
and then
there back.
commute, and then the lady, because she's, and I'm just thinking about now, my grandmother is a voter.
Right.
She's most churchgoers are voters. That's the thing.
Yeah.
And she, in the voting booth is right across the street. She just has to walk over there. So now you're making it hard for her, because I guarantee you, James, she lost it again. She don't know where that thing is.
Yeah.
And I just got it for her a couple years ago. So she has friends who are alive. Like, you're making it hard for elders
So it's hard
on both sides of the aisle to vote.
But it's another thing in this too. So like I seen a take where it was this guy, he was talking about how him and his wife didn't take neither of each other's last name when they got married.
Right.
So they both were public figures or whatever. He kept his name, she kept her name, and they got married. Now they have all, some power dynamic on legacy and all of this, why they didn't do that, but they were discussing this and saying if they would have, she would have been impacted.
Yes.
Because her birth certificate says Johnson.
Yeah.
If she would have got married to him, it would have said Smith.
Mm-hmm.
So now she has to bring up
a
birth certificate. Then it's going to be different than her current ID. So they're going to say, well, what is going on here?
Absolutely.
Now she got to go get a marriage certificate, which costs money, right? I've gotten marriage certificates for my granddad for estate and all, for estate planning.
So you see,
that. So I know like it costs money and then it takes time.
It takes time.
So if I didn't know that, and I don't have my marriage certificate on me, I basically can't vote because I got married to somebody and now I have a different last name. So that's
and
a
James,
big thing too.
I'm not gonna hold you. I'm an upstanding citizen. I'm productive. I contribute to the economy. I usually don't know when the next election is outside of the presidential one, but I usually don't know when the next election is until 2 weeks before, because then everything's flooded with commercials and ads and all of this, and I'm like, oh, I'm supposed to be voting for this thing.
Yeah.
And
Facebook will remind you now, though. Like they be getting kind of
okay.
Good with that. Like, hey, go vote in your local stuff, right?
And that's my thing is, if you're like me and you're somebody who generally does not vote or does not think to start voting until 2 weeks before, you need to have that paperwork together.
And then that's another thing that's kind of not clear. But let's be real honest about why they're doing this. Okay, so the House is doing this because during the Biden administration, they claim, and this is what they're saying, this is what the numbers are saying.
I'm laughing already.
This is what the numbers are saying. Now, there is some truth to this about the borders being open and approximately around 3 to 4 million people came into the country. This is why they're doing the whole immigration, tough on immigration, whatever, right? Now, if I'm an illegal immigrant and I come across and get into the country under Joe Biden, under Kamala Harris, under Obama, whoever, and they don't do strict laws to get me up out of here, and I can vote, I'm more likely, not guaranteed, I'm more likely, though, to vote for the presidency that I entered into that country in, right? So if I vote, just like Trump been importing South African, white people from South Africa, they're more like, they're more likely to vote for Trump because they came in under him. He let them get in. Now, with the Biden situation, they let them people in.
What do you mean by that?
I mean, they were not tough on the borders. I'm not saying
not that because I just want to make the differentiation, because Trump went and got a plane, put them people on it, and then flew back.
That's a whole different. That's a whole different. So
it's not as if
it's the same result. Is people are here that are immigrants. Okay. So they were not tough on the border. They allowed people to come in, 3 to 4 million people. And the theory is, I'm not saying this is what I believe. I'm not saying this is what is fact. I'm saying this is
This
the
is where this
theory.
came from.
This
Yes.
is the theory that goes around political circles is, and I mean, if you really think about it, it got a little teeth to it, or it's a little smoke because of the whole congressional. Remember, Texas flipped their congressional seating. That's why Jasmine Crockett, Congress,
Oh yes, the
zoning, and all of that.
the voting.
They're doing that because they're trying to make things more favorable to whatever city. Because whatever state. Because California did that. They zoned it to where it's more favorable. Their congressional seats are more favorable. The Census Bureau comes up, and when the census comes up, the cities that have more votes, that have more residents, they get more electoral votes.
Yeah.
And they get more congressional seats.
Yep.
Right? Mm-hmm. So that's the theory that if you let a bunch of illegal immigrants in, they're going to vote. They're going to
flip these counties.
They're going to flip a lot of these counties, and that's their theory. Mm-hmm. I can understand the point, whether I agree with it or not. That's not here to debate whether I agree with it or not. But I can understand where they're coming from.
The reason why I challenge that is because I know illegal immigrants. And it's very.
Hey, don't say that out loud. Hold on.
I know them. I know. One got deported already. Like I know.
Ice, hey, you see this, Ice? There's a clear indication. I'm not on that side. I don't know nobody illegal.
Okay, that's fine. Sure. So we ain't gonna talk about that cleaner lady.
Oh man.
My challenge to that is it is very hard to get a license or ID. Not that it's impossible, but when you are an immigrant and you don't have papers to begin with, I don't know if you remember how you had to get a license. You had to have 6 points of identification in order to get a license, right? Then with that license, you can go and register to vote. And here's the thing. If you are able to get through all of those, like the idea that there's 3 million immigrants and most of them was able to get through all of these obstacles that even Americans, you know how hard it is for some people re-entering society to get a license and get 6 points of identification.
To challenge that, there have been a lot of cases though where they've been popping up all across the country, not just in blue states, but in a lot of red states where there were a lot of illegal immigrants and they were like selling licenses. Like in Kentucky, for example, which is a red state.
Okay.
They had like some type of program where they were selling illegal licenses to people, and even in like California where they were selling illegal licenses for truck drivers, and down in Florida they was doing the same thing. And now Ron DeSantis said you got to be able to speak English in order to be able to do this.
What does that have to do with a license?
But this is a big problem all over the country, though. So while I understand, yes, in theory, you got to do 7, 8 different checkpoints in order to get your license. Well, if the person at the DMV is just giving people their license because they're doing fraud, then
it's hard.
That's a whole nother system to check. That's above my pay grade.
I was about to say.
They're doing fraud.
Because then we have a deeper problem if we can't trust our DMV. You know what I mean? We have a deeper problem because here's the thing. I may or may not have known people that have fake IDs, but they don't work in like official capacities. Yeah. Like it's enough to get you into the club. Yeah. But don't show this to nobody official and think
don't
that
go
you
try to work at the local bank.
Yes, because they're going to look it up. It's not in the system. So my thing is, if what you're saying is true, they have legitimate fake IDs where they actually work. I can look at it, the number up in the system, and say, we have a bigger problem. And that means we have an issue in America of fraud.
Kentucky, the Attorney General confirms investigation of driver's license fraud. And that's the Attorney General in Kentucky. 5 people indicted for Kentucky driver's license fraud. So it's like the 5 people that worked at the DMV or whatever, and they were doing fraud. But again, this is
because they were making money.
This is a red state, so I'm not putting this. This is not a Democrat.
Yeah.
But that's my point. Who knows if those people came in illegally under Donald Trump? and maybe he trying to do the same move. Like, this is not like a Democrat versus
No, I
Republican
don't.
thing. It's a strategy to get more congressional seats and electoral votes for both parties. One party blames the other for doing it, and they want to be tough on immigration, but they all do it. I'm saying it's a good strategy if you think about it, because of how the Constitution is set up, and you get votes in the congressional seats and electoral votes by the population.
I understand
So
that.
you see what I'm saying?
I understand that. I just don't know that. Okay, word to Farm Weaver. I don't have any documentation.
No,
I don't have any document
that ain't gonna stand up in court.
that legitimizes these claims of voter fraud. That, and I know that they're trying to get it. And here's the thing: get the documentation. You know how the DOJ went into Fulton County to look for voter fraud? Get the documentation first.
The problem with this is they don't even have to actually pass this law. They don't even the fact that it got that far is going to scare a lot of people, even if you're halfway illegal. Now it's like
not halfway legal.
Now it's like I don't know, you know what I'm saying?
Because there are people who are naturalized citizens who've been here for the last 40, 50 years.
Yeah.
And so what does that mean for them? It's like, oh, you're naturalized. Well, what documents? I don't have a birth certificate.
But what about so
passport? I don't know.
If you're naturalized, you go to school, you was born here, but then you got grandparents that were, came here illegally, had an expired green card, whatever type of situation you have to why you are here, there's a lot of people who are going to be intimidated by coming out to vote solely because this is being floated in the media. Not because it's actually a real thing. It's one of those things to where, like, if somebody threaten you and say, if you come on this block, I'm going to do X, they don't have to actually do that to scare you from coming on that block.
It's scare tactic enough.
It's a scare tactic enough to, stop a million. You think this can stop 1 million people from voting? I think it can.
At least, yeah.
I think this can. And Kamala
Harris
just lost. She lost the presidency,
by like
the popular
2 million.
vote by like 2 million people. Mm-hmm. That's the difference between one person in office and that. All her swing states, she lost by like 70, 80,000 votes.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
These small numbers, like 1 million and 2 million, that is enough to swing an entire Pennsylvania, an entire Georgia, an entire West Virginia, an entire Arizona, an entire Michigan. These are swing states. So I think it's a scare tactic. I don't know if it's really going to get put into law, but
to your point, you're not allowed to pay for votes. So I do think it might hit the Supreme Court.
And then the thing about this is, once somebody, if I'm an illegal immigrant and I read this headline, shit, I just think it's law, and I ain't going. Even if it don't pass, I'm gonna just be like, well, we ain't voting.
Voting's not for me.
Yeah, voting's not for me. But